Hi, I'm Michael from Kitchinsider. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm looking back over an old kitchen design project, breaking down the design and seeing what I would do different now. So this is a kitchen I designed about 7 years ago, and I had the opportunity to go back and check it out again recently and see how it was getting on 7 years down the line. I thought it'd be fun to break down and take a look at what's going on in the kitchen, talk about why I did certain things and see what I would do different now. So this is a contemporary Italian kitchen by a manufacturer called Cucini. Excuse my Italian there. It's a handleless kitchen that uses a chamfered edge on the door and the horizontal and vertical handle rails to access all the doors and drawers. So for this project we went for this warm off-white beige colour for the main cabinets. It's a plain slab door with a matte finish, and then on the island it's a wooden veneered finish, so you can see the wood grain on there, and it's in this quite light wood tone finish. Quartz worktops throughout, and then it's all set within this lovely big space with those vaulted ceilings and that sort of mid to dark toned wooden floor. So I thought I'd go around sort of each section of the kitchen and kind of break down what we've got going on there. So starting with the sink run, it's nice, simple and symmetrical. We've got these two wall cabinets either side of the window, and then underneath have a series of just base cabinets, and they're all 60 centimeters wide, so 6 cabinets with the sink in the center. It's a rather large bowl and a half stainless steel undermount sink and a cooker boiling water tap. Got an integrated dishwasher to the right of the sink, and then on the end of the run near that back door we've got some integrated bins, so easy access to take the bins out the door and in the wheelie bins. Lots of sockets, because you can never have too many, a good amount of storage, and a nice big long open countertop area for lots of prep work. Moving around to the back wall, we've got these tool cabinets with lots of storage inside, along with 2 deep drawers, again lots of storage and easy access there. And then we designed this kind of cutout feature to break up what could have otherwise been just a wall of tool cabinets. Got some shelves in there to kind of soften that area up, and then that countertop area as well. This was actually thought about and kind of designed and put in there for what we call the drop zone. So if you were walking in from that side door or through from the main house, you have somewhere to drop your keys, to drop the post, to drop whatever's in your pocket. All that kind of stuff could just live in that area, which was sort of outside the main kitchen area for cooking. And this whole section is designed so it looks like it's kind of set into the wall. If you look, it kind of comes up and around the side, so it doesn't feel like it's poking out into the kitchen. It's sunken in and a little bit more discreet there. And then moving further around again, we've got this tool bank of cabinets. So this tool section of cabinets is actually brought off the wall and away from the entrance to the rest of the house, just to give that bit of space when you walk into the kitchen from that area of the house. You've not got this tool panel just smack bang in your face. It's kind of set in a bit and away from that entranceway. Rather than just leaving that section empty, what we actually did was put in a little base cabinet. It's a little drawer actually with a cushion on top, so you could sit on it and take your shoes off. That was the idea anyway. It's like a little built-in bench in that section. So then we've got 2 integrated fridge freezers side by side, so it kind of gives you the size of a decent American fridge freezer, but it's all integrated. Now you can get integrated American fridge freezers, but there wasn't really much choice back then, so instead we went with a 50-50 integrated fridge freezer, but 2 of them side by side. We've got a built-in double oven, compact combi oven, so it's a microwave and an oven, and then a large warming drawer, or deeper warming drawer. So there's drawers underneath the ovens and then cupboards above, and then to the right of that oven setup is just a full height cabinet with shelves, so just some more storage there. And the fridges are purposefully placed where they are on the end of that run, kind of towards the outside of the kitchen. So if anybody wants to kind of just nip in and grab a drink from the fridge, they don't have to walk through the entire kitchen or interrupt anybody that's working in that space. They can access it easily there. But at the same time, when you're cooking and getting things out of the fridge, the kitchen island is just behind you, so you can grab stuff and dump and then kind of get on with your cooking. And then looking at the kitchen island, the island itself is about 2.7 meters long by about 1.1 meters wide. And this leaves a 1 meter walkway either side, so between sort of the sink run and the island and the tool cabinets, you've got that 1 meter walkway either side. And then you've got a little bit more than a meter, I think it's about 1.2, 1.3 meters from the end of the island to that back wall. So it just gives you a bit more space when you're coming in either from that side door or from the rest of the house. That section when you kind of flow through, you've got a bit more space there before you then get into the kitchen. We've got a 5-zone induction hob on the island, with part of the hob being a flexi zone, so you can combine those 2 zones to create one big zone. Nice big wide drawers all along that side opposite the sink, and that houses all of your cutlery, utensils and cooking pots and pans and all that stuff. It's right there in all those drawers. And then on the other side of the island, we've got these 2 double door cabinets with an open section that was a bit of a bookcase, and then a little drawer underneath that open section. And again, we did that to just sort of soften and help break up the look of having all doors just all along the back side of the island. And then at the bottom of the island, we've got this wooden breakfast bar overhang, which is perfect for 2 people. Now, this breakfast bar was actually done after the kitchen had already been installed. Originally, I did design an option that had an overhang for seating, but the client didn't want it at the time. But then after having used the kitchen for a little bit, they realized that they would actually quite like that kind of informal seating area up at the island, so they built this wooden breakfast bar that's attached. Now, for those of you with a keen eye, you may have noticed that there isn't a cooker hood. So what's going on? Well, for obvious reasons, because of the vaulted ceiling, the client didn't want a chimney hood coming down because it would just be enormous, nor did they want a ceiling hood. It's a bit too far away. You've also got the sloped ceiling to contend with as well. Venting hobs weren't really as big of a thing back then, and we didn't want to be chopping up the floor to get it vented out. And the same really with downdraft extractors. Now, the client didn't really do lots of cooking or frying with strong spices and smells, so wasn't too worried about having a conventional cooker hood. However, because this was an extension and it comes under building works and building control, we did still need to get some ventilation in the space. But here in the UK, technically it doesn't have to be a cooker hood. If it's a new build or an extension, you just have to make sure that you have some ventilation to the outside. So instead of a conventional cooker hood, we planned for this extractor on the wall here on the ceiling just out the way. Here in the UK, to pass the regs, it has to extract 60 litres a second or more. So essentially it's a slightly more powerful bathroom fan. This is for the UK, so depending on where you are, this may or may not be an option for you. Now, I think this is a great example of how to do lighting in a kitchen, so I thought it was worthwhile just breaking down what's going on here. So as I always say with lighting, make sure you've got lots of it, but do it in layers and make sure you can control those layers individually. So with this kitchen, we've got 4 layers of lighting. You've got some under cabinet lighting on those wall cabinets, which is really helpful task lighting or can be used to create a bit more decorative lighting. Then we've got these small spotlights in the ceiling. Now you can actually move these spotlights, so although you've got the sloped ceiling, you can kind of angle the spots so they shine straight down. And these are positioned overhead so as not to create a shadow when you're stood at the countertop. Then we've got these 3 pendant lights above the kitchen, all symmetrical, again giving some good task lighting if you're cooking on the hob. Because there isn't a cooker hood which would normally have a light, it is really helpful having these pendant lights there to light up what you're doing. And again, they can also be a bit more of a decorative light. And then lastly, right at the top of the ceiling, you've got your main lights. So this is your main ambient lighting. And again, these particular lights can be sort of moved and angled, so they were set up to kind of cast the light where they were needed to create this kind of even flooding of ambient light within the room. But all of these lights can be controlled separately, so you can have the different lights and create different layers of light depending on what you're doing. So if you're cooking dinner and there's lots going on, you can have all the lights on to make sure everything's illuminated and you can see everything, it's functional and you can cook. But if it's later at night and you're just sitting at the breakfast bar with a glass of wine, you can dial it down and just have some lights on to create a bit of mood and atmosphere. It's all about layers, and it's all about controlling those layers individually. So what would I do different looking at this kitchen sort of 7 years on? To be honest, nothing major. I still think it's a really functional kitchen with plenty of storage and workspace. However, me being me, there are a few little bits that bug me. Firstly, it's the breakfast bar. And as I said, I did originally design one that was very similar. The only difference was that mine wouldn't have had the brackets. I designed for a bit of a deeper wooden breakfast bar that would have been fixed from the cabinets underneath, so you wouldn't need those brackets. Not that there's anything wrong with those brackets, I just think not having them would have created a bit more of a kind of cleaner contemporary look. There's also this stainless steel backsplash and glass shelf section. And personally, I think the stainless steel and glass looks a little bit cold and a little bit clinical. I think I would get rid of that stainless steel and just put in some floating wooden shelves there. And these shelves could match the wood that's on the breakfast bar to help kind of tie that all together a little bit. And sticking with this back wall section, looking at it now, I wish we'd made it symmetrical. I remember at the time we were sticking to using the standard size cabinets to save a bit of money, not going down the bespoke route. And with the space that we had, this was sort of the best we could do using those standard sizes. And sticking with my somewhat obsession with symmetry is the sink run. I don't know what happened here, but during the installation, this sink run was just off center of the window. If you look, I wish that tap and that center line of the 2 cabinets was in line with the center of the window. Just off, and it really bugs me. And along the same vein as that, on the tool run of cabinets, I wish I'd added another cabinet on the end, again to make things a bit more balanced and symmetrical. That way you've got these 2 tool cabinets on the left, and you've got the two with the ovens in, and then you would have two on the right, so it kind of balances everything. Now we didn't add another tool cabinet because it was complete overkill. The kitchen already has heaps of storage, and another tool cabinet was just another chunk of money that wasn't really necessary. Which brings me nicely onto my next thing that I wish we'd done differently, but didn't because it was just additional cost at the time, and that's to add some more functional storage into these tool cabinets. So some pull-out drawers inside, or a tool pull-out wire work, something like that that makes them a bit more useful than just the shelves. There's a couple of these tool storage cabinets dotted around the kitchen, so just having a bit more functional storage in even just some of these, I think could have really helped the overall functionality of the kitchen. And then lastly, just a personal thing, so it doesn't really matter, but I think I would have liked to have gone for a slightly darker wood tone or slightly darker wood finish on the island to create a little bit more contrast between the rest of the cabinets and the island. But that's just me. It's still a lovely looking and very functional kitchen 7 years later on. So what do you think? Would you want this kitchen? What are some of the things you like? And is there anything that you would do different? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one, where I look at and break down some of my favorite kitchen design companies' projects. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.